Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Gloria. And I love the welcomes and the good mornings coming in. I'm so happy that you all are joining us here today, this morning, for this session. I'd like to first say that I am a person who stutters, so you may hear some blocks or repetition in the presentation, but if you give it a minute, then you will get used to it. All right, so let's rock and roll. 7+ tips to create an accessible online course. I couldn't stop with just 7 tips, so I added some pluses here to give you all some bonus information for creating accessible online courses. Some terminology that I will be using throughout the presentation include accessibility, making sure that we ensure access to all of our course materials and our course activities. A screen reader, which is a text-to-speech program typically used by students who are blind or visually impaired, as well as students with learning disabilities. And usability, making sure that our course and our course materials are easy to use. So some general accessibility tips that you should be aware of is that whenever you have Word documents, you want to make sure that the font size is at least 12 points. If you have PowerPoint, a PowerPoint presentation, you want the font size to be at least 24-point font size. The most accessible font type for online reading are sans serif font types like Calibri, Verdana, Arial. Those are sans serif font types, and those are the most accessible font types for reading online. You also want to make sure that you have an easy course navigation. You want to make sure that your course is easy to navigate for your students. You don't want them to have to fish through your course in order to find your course content and course materials. You also want to avoid blinking and flashing animations. And the best practice is to have page numbers on your documents and to have them at the top of your documents. So including page numbers on your documents is a general accessibility technique. All right, number one, we want to make sure that we include headings, that we use the heading style for our Word documents. So to make sure that we use the heading styles, and that's built into Microsoft Word. The reason for wanting to use this is that a screen reader user can pull up a list of headings with their screen reader, and they will be able to go to specific points in your document without needing to read your entire document. So they can pull up a list of headings and go to specific parts in your document. If you use the headings feature, this will be helpful for everyone, not just students who use screen readers. You can utilize the navigation pane to see an outline of your document. And if you go to Review, check Accessibility Navigation Pane, or View Navigation Pane, then you will be able to see the outline of your document. And I'll show you how this works later on in this presentation. Whenever you have any images or pictures, you want to make sure that you include alternative text on those pictures. You would ask yourself, how would I describe this picture to someone who is blind or low vision? And you will have a detailed 1 to 2 sentences for that particular picture. Whenever you have pictures, you don't need to include the word image or picture in this description because a screen reader will announce that it is an image or a picture. So you simply need to describe the picture without using the words image or picture. If your picture does not have a meaning, then you can simply click Mark as decorative. If your picture does not have a meaning, if it's just there for decoration, then you can mark that picture as decorative. We also want to make sure that our hyperlinks are meaningful. We see long hyperlinks sometimes. We also see hyperlinks that say things like click here or read more. If a screen reader user accesses a long image, they will not know where that hyperlink is taking them. If the meaningful description for the hyperlink says click here or read more, they have no clue what they're reading more about. So we want to make sure that our hyperlinks are meaningful. To do that, you will have the hyperlink be a short description of what that hyperlink is, as you see here on the screen. To learn more about digital accessibility, visit Accessibility at the University of South Carolina. If you think that a student will be printing your document, then you can also include the hyperlink, but have the hyperlink as plain text. So we want to make sure that our hyperlinks are meaningful. When we have tables, we want to make sure that header row is selected and that repeat header row is selected. If your table expounds more than one page, if it's on more than one page, then that header row will be on each page. That's if you select header row and repeat header row. You will see your header row on each page in your document, and I'll show you that soon as well. We also want to be sure that we utilize the pre-formatted bullets and lists feature that's already built into Office 365, Word, PowerPoint, etc. So we don't want to manually type in numbers for our lists, and we don't want to manually put in symbols. We want to go ahead and use those pre-formatted bullets and lists, use that feature that's already built into Word. We also want to make sure that we do not have color alone conveying messages, like everything in red is due on Friday. Some individuals may be colorblind, and they will not know what is due on Friday. In addition, some people may not have a color printer if they're printing something out, and so they won't know what is due on Friday. So we don't want to use color alone to convey messages. Do we have any questions so far? Take a break to see if there are any questions that we may have so far.
Hi, this is Robert. I have a question.
Okay.
I had heard that there was a special font for people that might be dyslexic. I've heard about it I'm trying to think, it was my cousin in the Netherlands who's told me about it, but I didn't know if that existed here in the US. And I was just wondering if you happen to know anything about that.
I have heard that there is a font that assists with individuals who are dyslexic, but I do not know. So I can't share that now. I do not know. But I have
Okay,
heard that there is one, but I don't know much about it. But it's something definitely to look into that I'll look into.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Kelly mentions, well, what makes sans serif font types more accessible? Those serif font types typically have those squiggly lines on them, like Times New Roman, and sometimes a little bit difficult to view those types of fonts on a computer. So they have those squiggly lines that may make it a little bit more difficult to read on computer screens. Would you please turn on closed captions for this session? I know that Blackboard Collaborate, if you have a live captioner, it can be turned on, but I'm not sure if I can try to see if I can find that. I don't know if it can automatically be done in Blackboard Collaborate, which I don't see in my settings. But maybe Gloria or April can look into that. And Should alternative text? Yes, alternative text should also be used in PowerPoint, and we will talk about that as well. Is serif better for printing? I have heard that serif is better for 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 printing. I know that sans serif is better for online reading. And Nima included some information on dyslexia typeface. Thank you so much, Nima. All right, so in terms of PowerPoint, you want to use the built-in PowerPoint layout that we already have built in there. It's already designed for accessibility. So those built-in PowerPoint layouts. If you decide that you don't want to, that you want to include more information or include more text boxes or images and not use the PowerPoint layout, then you can check the reading order of your slide content to be sure that it is in correct reading order for a screen reader user. And we'll look at that soon. You also want to have unique slide titles. So you want to have unique slide titles so that if an individual is using a screen reader, they will know the context of that slide. If you do not want to include a slide title on your slide, you can actually make it invisible. When I learned about this is a new feature and that I've learned about. You can have invisible slide titles on your slide. When you look at it in slideshow mode, it won't show up, but it can be there for accessibility purposes. So if you create a PowerPoint, you have some slides, you don't want a slide title because it may take up some room or it may not be beneficial to have one on your slide, then you can make it invisible and have it above the slide so that it won't take up space. We also want to avoid writing sentences in all capital letters. That can be seen as yelling. It's hard to read as well, and it can be seen as yelling. A great feature in Office 365 is the accessibility checker. If you go to review and then check accessibility, then you will be able to see the accessibility results, the inspection results for your PowerPoint or for your Word document. There's also a little box at the bottom that can keep running in your that can continuously run in your document, and it can tell you that you need to investigate your accessibility, or it'll say that your accessibility is good to go. That is very hard to read. So we want to make sure that we use appropriate color contrast when we're creating our slides. We want to make sure that students can read what is on our slides. And you can see that this is much better. For any videos that you have, you want to make sure they're captioned. If you have any audio, you want to make sure they are transcribed. A good practice is to create your script first. That'll help you to alleviate those filler words, help you stay on track. But some people tell me that that doesn't work for them. So you can use tools like Dragon Dictation or Dragon Naturally Speaking, which are speech-to-text programs. There's also automatic captioning in YouTube. If you use YouTube to upload and it's pretty accurate. You'll need to go in and add punctuation and just be sure that it's accurate, checking the spelling of those words. If you want to caption a video that's not yours, you can use the Amora captioning tool for that. We have a service on campus, an office called the Office of Distributed Learning. If you teach online, they will caption your videos for you. So all you need to do is contact them in a timely manner, give them time to do it for you, but they will caption your videos or transcribe your audio. Our Office of Distributed Learning, that's if you have an online course. Very helpful. So that's one service that you can take advantage of here at the university. If you want to keep your accessibility intact when saving to PDF, you will go to File and then Save as PDF, and that will ensure that your document will remain accessible when you save it to PDF. If you scan a file, it's going to be a picture. So you would need to run optical character recognition, also known as OCR, on that file. So if you cannot highlight any words on a PDF file, that means that it's a scan, and that means that it's an image, and a screen reader user will not be able to read it. So you need to run optical character recognition, also known as OCR, on that file. Blackboard has a tool built in called Blackboard Ally. So I'm sure you all have seen these gauges in your course. Red means not accessible at all. Orange means kind of accessible. Green means you're getting there. Light green means you're getting there. And dark green means perfect. But if you click that gauge, it will tell you the accessibility score, what it means, as well as how to fix it. So you can utilize Blackboard Ally in Blackboard to increase the accessibility of your course materials. And there are also different formats. You can use, you can create an OCR PDF. You can download HTML, EPUB, Braille, and an audio file. And students can do this as well. Emily mentioned, asked if OCR is a free feature with Adobe. You have to have Adobe Professional to have the OCR feature. But one good thing is that you can also use Blackboard Ally to OCR a document as well. So once you upload it into Blackboard and you go to the alternative formats, you can download the OCR PDF, and that can help you to make that document accessible. So OCR is optical character recognition, is in Adobe Professional, which is paid. Kristen, you're welcome. Yes, you can utilize that in Blackboard. And here's a link that talks about the information that I've been sharing here today. So go ahead and jot that down. https://tinyurl.com/7plus tips. And while that's up, I'll open it up for questions before we go to some demonstration. OCR takes a scan file, which is an image, and turns it into a file that can be searchable, and that the text can be highlighted, and it'll allow students who are using screen readers to read the file. So OCR takes a scan file, which is a picture, and turns it into a readable file that can be highlighted, that can be selected, and that can be read by a screen reader.
This is Robert.
Okay, Robert.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I'll wait.
No, you're fine. We're questions, and then we're going to go to some demonstrations.
I just want to say I use OCR for like if professors ever send you guys like PDFs from like forever ago, and they were scanned in on a scanner, and you can't ever like text and highlight it. OCR makes life so much easier because then it allows you directly highlight. And honestly, that was my first exposure to it. I had no idea that it was used for this. I've got to I've got to go make a lot of changes to my coursework to make it more accessible. So I just want to say thank you. It didn't even occur to me about that, and I really appreciate learning this stuff. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. You are welcome. And one thing is that that's like a OCR is like a minimal level of accessibility for PDFs. I just want to throw that out there. There's a lot more that needs to be done, but to get started, run OCR on your PDFs. And I'm going to pull up a Word document. I'm going to scroll through the document, and I want you to let me know based on our conversation today, what are some things that we can look at in our document to make it more accessible? I'm just going to kind of scroll through, and you can type in the chat, what are some of the things that we could do to make this document a little more or a lot more accessible? All right, so I see change the font. Let's scroll up. Headers, changing font, meaningful hyperlinks, page numbers at the top, larger font, descriptive hyperlinks. Great. You all have been done a great job listening to me today. And thank you for participating. So let's go ahead and do some of those things. So what I'll do first is I'll go ahead and change the font type to a sans serif font. So I'll just go to select all, select all, and I'll change my font type to, if it lets me. Well, it's jumping around. Okay, Calibri, that's a sans serif font type. What I'll also do is check the headings, and I'll see here, this is plain normal headings. You can see here in the styles. So what I'll do is if your document is structured how you want it to be, that makes it simple for you. All you need to do is right-click heading 1 and say update heading 1 to match selection. There should only be one heading level 1 in your document. So there's one heading level 1, and then you'll have subheadings. So instructor contact information, I'll right-click heading 2 and say update heading 2 to match selection. I'll go down to course description. I'll just simply click heading 2, prerequisites heading 2, course learning outcomes heading 2. As I mentioned, if you go to view navigation pane, you will be able to see the structure of your document. And if you click on the titles, it will take you specifically to those places in your document. I also mentioned going to review, check accessibility and navigation pane. So that's another way that you can view the navigation pane. All right, that's one thing. Another thing that we can do is I see here we have a hyperlink that is not meaningful. So what we can do is simply copy this hyperlink, highlight Student Success Center, right-click and say link, paste the hyperlink, and then click OK. So now we have a meaningful hyperlink. If we think someone will be printing our document, we can also include the hyperlink here. I'm going to put parentheses around it. But you want to make sure that it's plain text. I'll remove the hyperlink here. So we have Student Success Center as our meaningful hyperlink. So if a screen reader user pulls up a list of hyperlinks, they will know that this hyperlink is taking them to the Student Success Center. I also have the hyperlink here in case someone prints it and wants access to the actual link. I'm going to do one more. I see one here about Adobe Reader. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this text, copy Adobe Reader, right-click, link, paste the address, click OK. And I'll also leave the hyperlink here. I just put it in parentheses. I will remove the hyperlink from this text. And now they will know that Adobe Reader, if they access this link, is going to Adobe Reader, and they have the hyperlink here if it's going to be printed. All right, and I see here that we have a numbered list. Let's go back to home. We will see here, this is not highlighted. The numbering feature or the bullet feature is not highlighted. So all I simply did was selected the text, and I'm going to click numbering. And so now we have that there. And one last thing I'm going to show here is our table. As I mentioned, we want to go to select the table table design, header row. We want to click layout and then repeat header row. If we look at our table, we will see that the header row is on each page. Modules, assignments, due date. So again, table design, header row, layout, repeat header row. All right, so I'm gonna minimize that and let's bring up a PowerPoint right quick. And I'm gonna go to show you how to go to the accessibility checker here. You'll go to review, check accessibility, and it'll tell you the errors and the warnings for the inspection results. We mentioned having unique slide titles for each slide. And we talked about if you want to have a slide title but want to make it invisible so that it's not on your slide, then you can make it a hidden slide title. So all I need to do for that is simply go to review, check accessibility, slide title, add hidden slide title. And you will see that appears here. And the last thing I'm going to show you, a few more things I'm going to show you here, is let's go to his family. And we talked about alt text. So we want to make sure that we have alternative text for our images and pictures. So if we right click and go to edit alt text, we can type alt text here in this box. Wife of George Washington. We can right click this one or click this one. Mother of George Washington. Father of George Washington. So once again, right click the picture, edit alt text. And the last thing I'm going to show is the reading order of slide contents. If you go to review, click the arrow for check accessibility and go to reading order pane. You will be able to see the reading order of your slide content. So we have title, picture. We want wife to be under that. So all we need to do is click that and move it up. We have Mother George Washington. We want this text box here to be under that. Father of George Washington, and then Father. So now this slide, the slide contents on this slide are in correct reading order. And all of that, once again, is under review, check accessibility. Here you can check accessibility. You can do some stuff with alt text. But specifically what we just did was reading order pane. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you all today and talk to you all about today. And so let's see, we are at time. I'm just kind of reading through the messages here. We want to change the color of the hyperlink back to black or blue. That's fine, yes. And Kimberly mentioned the font accessibility a little confusing. They have a visible disability. Sans serifs are hard to read, and that's fine as well. And how do you get the warning errors to go away? You will need to modify the document or the presentation to make it more accessible. The warnings may still be there because it wants you to look at it to be sure that it's incorrect, that what you have is correct. So the warnings may still be there. All right, so we are at time. So thank you all so much for coming, and I will stick around if you have additional questions. I want to be mindful of your time. Just wanted to thank you all once again for joining me here. If you have any questions, then just let me know.